everybody. Welcome to the show, or should I say the summit. You're watching the Now for Life Membership Summit. Our elite members are stopping by to share their information. And in our next episode is my good friend and my connector. She is my personal connector that has gotten me connected with almost everybody that you know. That's right, Jennifer Hammond is here. Hey, yay, lady, what's happening?
Yay! It's a yay day because I'm with you.
It's a yay day, and I'm so glad you're with me. What's going on with you now? I mean, okay, let's just talk about it. When we're recording this, we just came through tariffs, then suspension of tariffs, stock market, and then record stock market, and that was just in the last few days. So, what does that do to the real estate market, especially your specialty, first-time home buyers?
Well, and I was going to say the market, like for instance, I'll use Florida as an example. Right now, the market is really soft. It's a buyer's market. But you and I actually share a friend who just wrote an offer this weekend here in the Tampa area. And she didn't write it quite at asking price, but thought, this is going to be fine. And sure enough, didn't get the offer. And number one, we're seeing for the first time in history more listings on the market than have ever been in basically the recorded history of real estate sales in the state of Florida. And so that means that there are more supply than there is the demand for buyers. So there are more sellers than there are buyers. And that means it's a buyer's market. It's a softer market. But that doesn't mean that it's just, everything is a bargain. So, but what it does mean is it kind of follows some of the other craziness, whether it's cryptocurrency or the stock market or other things. It has that so much to do with that confidence on how people
Right.
are feeling. And everything kind of goes down to a micro market. So like in your neighborhood, you probably know and you've seen things change and they go through cycles. And in Florida, just like California and other places, we've had some weather issues. We had two
I love the way you say that. Weather issues.
just little issues. It was funny. Last night I ended up having a dinner and it was 10 women and we were all sitting there talking about our experience during the hurricane. And there were several people who were like, well, we thought it would be a great idea to stay because we were so far above. And then the
Right.
terrifying moment of watching the water come in, and like one of the women, it was a little over 10 foot in her house, and she was
Wait. Hold on. 10 feet. So let's
10
just paint
feet.
this picture because most, especially older homes, we have 8 foot ceilings. We don't have 10-foot ceilings. So does that mean it went into the second floor or?
It was the irony was is they actually, this is one of the reasons they quote unquote felt safe that it would be okay, is because it was one of those ones that was built to the hurricane codes. And so
Oh, okay.
the first floor was their car, so they lost two cars,
Ooh,
gone. 100, I
wow.
mean 10 foot of water, the cars are
Wow.
gone, 100% gone. But it did come up to inside their first floor of their house, and they're on the second floor looking at the stairs, watching it climb up the stairs. And she
Oh,
was funny, she said, I was looking at my husband, and she said, then I was looking at my cat. We were all like,
not the cat.
I don't know what we're gonna do. And the cat's looking at them like, what are we gonna do? And they're like, we don't know what we're gonna do. And anyway, and people are still rebuilding, and a lot of people have never gotten back into their house since October. And
Wow.
so they're paying two mortgages, or a mortgage and another place, so they're paying double what they normally would. And they're waiting on insurance to pay. They're waiting on one of the biggest things that's kind of one of the secret things people don't know about is that there's a huge backlog in getting your permitting. So that's great. You got your insurance and you started doing, but you can't do your work until you have your permits.
Wow.
And then
Okay, let's back up for a second because I want to go back real quick because you
yeah,
said soft market, and that's a buyer's market. I just want to make sure the new home buyers know what that means. But naturally, we think Florida never has a buyer's market. California doesn't. Nevada doesn't because we have so many people always moving in. But you're saying that there is a soft market or a buyer's market in
yes.
Florida. So how do you monitor that unless, of course, they go and visit you, which they should,
They
And by
should.
the way, tell them how. How do they visit you and find out how this stuff works?
So, and also I do have a class. I have two classes. I have a basic
Okay.
class and then I have an advanced class. And if you go to Jennifer's class, so Jennifer with an S, jennifersclass.com, and you can see both of those online classes. And I go through so many aspects of being a first time home buyer. Just like in Pinellas County, there's $80,000 for home buyers. Not now, let me remind you, not just first time home buyers. And then if you're a veteran, it's, there's other benefits. There are so many benefits, and that's in every single market. There's all sorts of things. Most of that money is local, although there are some federal programs like the Heroes program that's up to about $50,000, and that's pretty much anywhere in the United States. It's administered by the states, even though it's federal money. But it's so interesting because it gives you the opportunity, and that's one of the reasons that, like, I put together this course, is if you're interested in finding out whether you bought one home or you bought 0 homes, how much would this information help you so that you don't buy a money pit, that you understand to ask the questions. One of the questions Tigo just said is, so how do we know, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? And that's part of it. Like in my course, I go through and I go through 17 questions that you should be asking when you interview a real estate agent. 17 questions you should ask your
17?
mortgage. 17.
17. Okay, I need to go get that. So I'll be visiting
Yes.
your website. I didn't know that. 17.
17.
Holy.
And we're just talking about the insurance and the hurricane, and there's 17 questions in my course. There's 17 questions for your insurance person. So if you're not getting the right insurance, or if you have the wrong deductible, you were trying to save $5 a month or something, and then all of a sudden your deductible means that you're basically paying for the entire whatever mishap, hurricane or wildfire or whatever, completely out of your pocket. So you need to have asked those questions, and the questions are meant to create a conversation, because the thing is you need to know, you don't know what you don't know. So one of the reasons, take advantage. I almost have 30 years now in real estate.
But you're only 35.
I know. I'm just a kid. No, it's so
but it
funny.
does bring up another question though, because I know we only got this much time, and you and I can talk all day, and we should one day. We should just do a workshop all day long and really dig in. But we had the fires out here in California. We're in Nevada, but next to our sister state over there in California, they had those massive fires that literally took out entire towns. And you said something a little bit ago about double mortgages, mortgage and rent, and so forth. Because if you're on the outside, you have no idea what happens. So if your house burns down, God forbid, knock on wood, and you have to leave, right? They evacuate you for however, and then your house is gone. If you have a mortgage, they don't suspend that mortgage because your house is down until you get another one?
And it's one thing I actually teach is, how to negotiate with your lender. And it depends on the lender, but a lot of lenders don't. They're like,
Wow.
they're not. They would. And the thing is that what happens? So you miss 3 months, and guess what? Then they foreclose, they sell your property, and you lost all that equity. You lost all those years you paid. You lost, and you may have lost all your belongings in the fire or in the hurricane. I mean, it's so devastating. That was part of what I was talking about with the dinner of these 10 women last night. We were sitting there just talking about people saying, I have post-traumatic stress from watching water flooding into my house, not having a place to live, losing all my cars, you spent all this time, you've worked 80-hour weeks, you've done all this stuff, and you think that you have gotten to a point where you're secure and you're safe financially, and then it's amazing how one storm can wipe it all out, or one really bad fire. And you would think that again, why would the bank want to take your house back? And unfortunately, they're not always that reasonable and that understanding. And if you can get to a human, as we know, we all love AI, but you need to be able to get to a human who actually can really understand and not just, keep pushing the buttons, and you're trying to get to somebody to say, hey, I can't pay two mortgage payments. I mean, we have some people are just staying in homeless shelters, and that's in the fires in California as well as in Florida, because they still, and the news doesn't really cover it. I mean, it's a lot harder than a lot of people think. And again, you could have in the same area, you could have some people who were just fine, 3 blocks away, whereas in one neighborhood, all the houses are devastated. So it just depends. But anyway, it's important to ask the questions. That's hence the reason I put together the class. Ask your questions to your insurance person, ask your questions to your mortgage. And that might be a new question I actually add on to your mortgage thing. So what happens if there's a disaster, like a natural disaster, you know, an act of God, so to speak, fire, you know, hurricanes,
Wow.
earthquakes, God forbid, tornadoes or whatnot. How do you handle that? But you have to have those conversations. You have to be able to get to a real person. And so often people, like insurance is probably one of the most overlooked ones. And title insurance. One of the things I go over in my course is how quickly, I mean, you can very, very quickly, you can all of a sudden lose everything if you didn't get the right title insurance. And there's different levels of title insurance. Or people go, oh, I don't need title insurance. Oh,
Do you teach all of that, or is there programs that teach all of that where people
I
can
teach
find
that.
that out?
It's in my courses, yeah, and I have homework assignments, and my email address is in there actually to answer questions when, you know, if you're going through the
Wow.
course and you get stuck, because it's so important to people to have that education and know how to ask questions and keep asking questions until you have basically made the best decision you can, so you don't buy a money pit, so you don't get yourself stuck, you know, in a bad situation.
My goodness. But on top of all that, you've done an ebook on positive attitude. We
Yeah.
just talked about the end of the earth pretty much. And you did an ebook on positive attitude. So tell me a little bit about that book because you know Alan, he's going to cut us off soon. Tell me a
I
little bit about that book and how they find it.
So if you go to yay, Jennifer.com, so yayjennifer.com, and I have a wonderful gift. It's an ebook. I put it together also because I was going through some really hard times. And some people are like, how do you have a positive attitude? And I started really thinking about it. It's those daily disciplines. And so we go through 7 of them. And what are they that helps you create a positive attitude? And there is a course with it if you want to take the course, but the book is free. And I just want everyone to find that yay in today, because you can find it. It's not always easy, I know, but we can find it. And sometimes, you know, we have to go back to the basics that we might have forgotten and that we're not focused on. So yayjennifer.com, and get your free book and send me emails and let me know what you think, because I really do. I love the feedback. You know, I miss, that was one thing on Sirius XM for 10 years. I was always live. So people, I got to interact and hear their questions. So I really do love your emails and I love your feedback.
You're amazing. Let's talk about doing some kind of workshop together where we can go way deeper than 15 minutes. You're absolutely the best. I thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Member Summit. Thank you so much.
Yay. Always, anytime, Tigo. I love you.
Love you too, kid. All right, everybody, you know what to do if you did not hear the web addresses. If you don't know where to go to tigodirect.com, click and type in Jennifer, type in Hammond. You could probably type in Yay, and she's going to come up, send her a message and say, I saw you on the Members Summit, and she'll reach back out to you. I hope you enjoyed this segment. You know, I want you to stick around and come back for the next one. And as always, I'm Tigo. I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.